Hi, Professor. Thanks for accepting my interview today.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Thank you. And this interview about my agriculture communication and the journalist class assignment.
Cool.
Thank you. So, would you mind I ask you 10 questions about leadership skill at the workplace?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Um, so, in the beginning, who is your favorite leader?
Oh, my favorite leader is a personal one. It's not probably one that's nationally known, but she's made the most impact on me, and her name is Dr. Christine Townsend.
Christine Townsend. Okay. Thank you. And what is the role of leadership in an organization?
Oh, without leadership, an organization can't move forward. It would just stagnate. It may get all the bills paid and everything done on a daily basis, but there wouldn't be that opportunity to move forward and make a bigger impact. So leadership has a huge role in that.
Thank you. And what are the essential qualities of a good team leader at the workplace?
Ooh, I think they have to understand people as much as they can, because you have to understand how to motivate people, how to celebrate people, how to encourage people. And then you also need to know yourself. So you need to be self aware as well, so that you understand how you lead and how that impacts others around you. You need to be a good listener. You need to understand and have a good grasp on the specific tasks that the group needs to do within the organization as well.
Thank you. And what are the benefits of leadership skills at the workplace?
I think the benefit is it makes your life a little easier. When you understand what's going on around you, it's so much easier to be engaged in that process and not get disillusioned, which happens so many times with people who are just there to get a paycheck and walk out the door. So I think understanding your leadership and understanding what's going on with leadership around you is really impactful in that way.
Thank you. And are there any leadership challenges in the workplace?
Oh, goodness, yes. A lot of challenges. I think one of the biggest ones right now is I call it the fishbowl effect. And what that is everyone can see you at all times between engagement, social media, Zoom, live, whatever it looks like. You're never off. I guess you never get to turn that leadership title off. And so it's really exhausting to have to be a leader at all times. It's hard to disconnect. I think that's also a challenge that a lot of leaders face. They feel like they have to be engaged 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that cuts into their ability to have a harmonious work life situation, which causes more stress. And I think that's also an issue. Stress and mental health are a big challenge for leaders, not only personally, but also their followers, of understanding how stress and mental health is affecting them as well.
All right. Thank you. And the next one is, will Joe Biden's victory usher in a new kind of leadership in the workplace and the society at large?
Oh, man, that's a good question. And this is just my personal opinion. This is not based on data.
Mm,
Um, I honestly believe that presidents have zero to none effect on how we lead on a day-to-day basis.
mm,
Um, you didn't see, well, I didn't experience leaders when Donald Trump was president, walking around calling each other names like he did, right? Openly calling his friends, foes, everybody had a nickname. And I didn't see leaders engaging in that type of behavior. So I don't know what kind of impact he might have. On the government level, I think that his leadership style is we're going to see that within Congress and within the House. But I don't know if it's actually going to trickle down to the everyday person. I think we're kind of burnt out on big leadership, if that makes sense. I think
Yeah.
those big leaders we're just like, whatever, and we just keep going.
All right, thank you. And how does bureaucracy in the workplace affect leadership qualities?
Bureaucracy kills leadership. When you don't have the power to enact change in a timely fashion, then that becomes an issue. And a bureaucracy, which, you and I belong to a giant bureaucracy at Texas A&M, that it's really hard to get through all those levels in order to do something and enact change in a big way. You can enact small changes, but not big, impactful ways. So I think that is, it's a hindrance to being able to get people towards maybe bigger goals that are set by lower levels in the bureaucracy, if that makes sense.
So how has leadership changed over the past 15 years at the workplace?
It has gone from a dictatorial type of approach. When we think of some of those leaders who were lauded 50 years ago, saying, be this type of leader, Lee Iacocca, some of those guys that were just kind of tyrants within the workplace, even Walt Disney, whom I love, big Disney fan, was kind of a jerk when it came to working, and it was his way or the highway, and Walt was absolutely fine with showing you the door. And that's not how the workplace is anymore. You will find few successful leaders who act that way. We now know we need to engage with our followers. We need to engage with the culture of the organization in order to move the organization forward. It's not about yelling. It's not about threats. As we learned in class last week, it's not about coercive power. It's about gaining the trust, gaining the respect, and working together collectively for the greater good. So I think that is probably the biggest way it's changed.
Thank you. So are women in workplace leadership growing in numbers?
Slowly, they are, and it depends on the type of organization it is, and if it's tech, or if it's different types of organization, because we have some organizations where women have got to the pinnacle and they've been at the pinnacle for a while. Those are usually typically caring organizations, if that makes sense. So like education, healthcare, things that we normally perceive as, we need a leader who cares about humans. That's where women have been more successful, of being able to say, being superintendents, or being the head of a nurse practitioner operation, even head of hospitals. But it's now we're moving towards more big name opportunities, and it's a little bit more in the dialogue of, this is what we need. We need all different voices heard at all different levels. And so I think that's not only allowing women to have even a seat, not even a seat at the table, maybe a seat in the room in order to get to the table, but also other diverse voices, which is really cool. So we're getting there. We're still a far way off, but we're getting there.
Thank you. So the last question is, as a woman in leadership, what are some common issues you faced in the workplace?
As a woman who has kiddos, I have experienced a lot of there's some assumptions that people make both ways. Like, if you're a female who has kids, that when you can't do as much as a man because you have the responsibilities of home and those kids. I have had to, when my kiddos were little, bring them to class because they weren't officially sick enough to come to class, but they were too sick to go to daycare. And so I felt judged about having to bring my kids because the male guys around here, now there are a couple, we're awesome, and we have some really amazing forward thinking men in our department, but most of them would never even think about bringing their kids, but that's because it's the wife's job, not the man's job. One instance in particular, we at that time, I was the sole breadwinner for my family. So my husband worked part-time, but didn't really get a whole lot of money. And we had 2 kids at home. And they told us that we were going to have our salaries cut by a month. So we would lose a month of salary. And I sat in that meeting and cried. And because I felt all the pressure of having to be the one that earns all the money. And yet I was also the one that was doing all the wifey things at home, the cooking and the cleaning and the taking care of the kids. And so I had a male colleague, actually now my husband, wasn't at the time, now my husband, came to me after the meeting and said, I don't understand why you're crying. Yeah, we lost a month of salary, but you can just work harder and get a grant and get that money back. And I said, in your world, absolutely. But you stay here. He was single, you're a single dude. You stay up at work until 8 o'clock at night working on grants. I have a family at home and I can't do that. And I don't want to do that. And so that impact hit us differently. But they couldn't understand why. They just assumed that I was just an emotional woman. But they didn't understand that I was also the breadwinner. So I've experienced a lot of that. As a leadership faculty member, we're not necessarily gender bound like some. If you think of professors over in the College of Engineering, most of them are men. The cool thing about leadership is it's never been discriminatory towards faculty, which is awesome. So it's not weird that I'm here, even though I'm in a College of Ag and there's not a lot of women in the College of Ag, there's more women faculty in our department. So I found mentors that would help me through that process. And I think that that's important.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Of today. Yeah, I think we did a successful job. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Good luck.
See you this afternoon, right?
Perfect. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.